So if you have a vineyard that is like a biblical vineyard, if you don't lift up these vines, and you can, it doesn't look like it's really high there, but it is pretty high. They have 2 stones under each one of them. So they lift them up and they put the stones underneath the vines so the vines are lifted up, and when they're off the ground, now they can produce grapes. I don't know who came up with that. I'm always interested in that. Like, who is the first person that thought, there's a vine there, and if I just pull it up and put it on some rocks, I can get some grapes. You know, somebody was really thinking. And then it wasn't until later in 1611 when King James came out, they were already putting vines on trellises, even then. So the fact that this was lifted up is kind of lost, and that's the reason why I find it so critically important that we know the Bible background. Because if you know who you're talking to, and you know when you're talking to them, if you know what these people were picturing, because it doesn't really matter so much what we picture, it's what these hearers of the spoken word were hearing at that time. That's what really matters as far as us understanding the text. So things obviously advance, but we want to have this picture in our mind as we look at the text. So that was the original hearers. So we have the pronouns, we have what the vines look like, and in this passage, we have several admonitions. And we have a definition of admonitions, and it's a gentle or friendly reproof, counsel or warning against fault or oversight. That's what an admonition is. So with all that in mind, this background of where he's speaking, who he's speaking to, what they're visualizing as he is speaking to them, let's take a look at our text. And so the first verse, we'd all easily identify there, the metaphor that God is using here, I'm the true vine and my Father's the vine dresser. You know, we know the true vine is Jesus, and the Father's the vine dresser. The divine farmer, if you will, the one who takes care of the vine. And the vine is what produces everything else. That's what the vine and the vine dresser are. And so we begin right there. So every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. So let's just stop right there, because we have a word that we need to look at. And it's the Greek behind takes away. The word, you know, you have Greek, the funny letters, and then we transliterate it into English letters. So the pronunciation of the transliterated Greek is either one of 2 things, arrow, or actually it's arrow, like A-I-R-O, or arrow. Either one is correct, so I understand. So John, pop that definition up for me of arrow. So, okay, I'm pouring out. So here's the Greek, here's the English, and you have the definition here. So it means destroy or take away. You have all those definitions. And then one of the definitions is to lift up the soul of someone. That's the other definition of this word. And so what I am saying is that as we look at these grapevines, and these grapevines are growing on the ground, if they want to bear fruit, they have to be lifted up. The original translators, probably 1611 or whoever it was, they were looking at this and they were saying, well, how do you lift up a grapevine on a trellis? It didn't make sense. So they used take away, but the better translation is really lift up. So if the vine is growing on the ground and you come and it's never going to bear fruit unless it's lifted up and put on the rocks. This is also true, guys. You are never going to bear fruit, any kind, unless the Lord lifts you up and puts you on a rock. And the rock, man, what a great analogy that is. You're placed on the rock. And when you're on the rock, you can bear fruit. But if you're not on the rock, you have a real problem. So Jesus lifts it all up to enable it to bear fruit. That picture when I got that, really is significant. I love that. So there you go. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he lifts up. Every branch that bears fruit, he prunes it so that it may bear fruit, bear more fruit. So we're in the same verse and he's telling us two things. Either he lifts it up so it can bear fruit, or if it's not bearing fruit, he